Is not.
I can see it on.
Refresh the camera.
There must have been an update.
Whoa, there he is. He's right there, right in your face. And let's start the show.
There's a minimum crew requirement.
What's the minimum crew?
Oh, one, I suppose.
You are listening to the Freelancer Codex, a podcast brought to you by the Shut Up and Respawn Network.
Welcome, freelancers, to episode 166 of the Freelancer Codex podcast. I am your host, Steve, along with my co-host who was there just a second ago but decided to bail. Either way, today is March the 31st. It's already the end of March, heading into April. This year is not slowing down. I guess the years never really technically slow down. They always move at the same pace. It just feels like we're going faster.
Some actually say they speed up.
Do you think they do? I mean, it's possible.
We were watching how the universe works today, and sometimes they say it speeds up.
I like shows like that talk about the cosmos because there are cool things that happen out there.
You just like Mike Rowe to narrate. He does a great job.
I actually don't know.
Who's got a better narration, Mike Rowe or Morgan Freeman?
Morgan Freeman.
Really? Not even like a contest?
Not really. Like, I don't
know.
know.
No, man. Deadliest Catch is very well produced.
So that's a good thing. That's a good thing to bring up because Deadliest Catch, I don't think, is as good without Mike Rowe. However, like, I don't know if I like Mike Rowe in anything else. Did he do How It's Made for a while?
He did not do How It's Made. He does How the Universe Works, though.
Rusted, yes, it has been another week. I cannot believe it, but thanks for hanging out with us again. We're trying to decide if Mike Rowe is a better narrator than Morgan Freeman. So we were watching, I forget what Nat Geo thing we were watching because all the National Geographic stuff is over on Disney Plus, and we enjoy watching that stuff. But we were watching Krasinski narrate something. Never Fear in the chat says Dirty Jobs. That's the show that he narrated, Dirty Jobs. He was also a host.
You forgot Dirty Jobs?
Yeah, I guess I forgot Dirty Jobs. What's the dirtiest job?
I think oil field technician, you can get pretty dirty.
Yeah.
There's a lot of grinding.
But that's oil. Like, when I think dirty jobs, I'm thinking of like the guys that are like shoveling manure around. Rusted
there
says
are guys who replace septic tanks.
Yeah, that's pretty gross. There's people that dive into septic tanks.
That is quite gross.
Rusted says, I've seen an episode or two of that. Yeah, Morgan Freeman for the win. I agree. It's got to be Morgan Freeman, or it has to be, who wanted to see the child? I want to see the baby. What's his name?
What?
What's his name?
That?
You know. Oh, you know what? What if? Oh, shoot. My brain just exploded because of how good of an idea it was. You're going to have to keep going while I think of the name of this person.
I am going to keep going.
Christopher Walken. What if Christopher Walken just started narrating all the things?
I don't think we could get through with it.
I think it would be awesome if Christopher Walken was like, hey, when the world was created, there was like a lot of rocks, you know, and the rocks came together and they formed the world. That's pretty much
he's
one
done.
for one.
He's done quite a bit of stuff, Mike Rowe. He has Dirty Jobs, obviously. How the Universe Works. Let's see. He has his own. He does a podcast, 6 Degrees with Mike Rowe.
Is that where they talk about like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon?
Narrates. Yeah, it looks like he narrates Bering Sea Gold.
Oh, so back to what I was saying. There was a penguin show on Nat Geo where John Krasinski narrates, and he did a good job of narrating that. But since we're not,
what did he narrate?
It was
Krasinski.
a show about penguins.
And Krasinski, he was in one called. He was a robot, and it was very. Oh, what was it? Max. Oh, what was
Max
it called? I have to look it up.
He was a robot?
No.
Maximum Override.
Yeah,
Maximum Overdrive. Mad
No,
Max
it wasn't
Fury
Maximum
Road.
Overdrive.
One of the best
Hang on,
movies
I'll
ever.
find it. What's no, actually, quite possibly one of the worst.
And on
Next Gen. He was in Next Gen. That's I think that's one that you and the boys will like. It's a Netflix one.
Huh. And
Your boys may have already seen it.
they probably have. They see all kinds of things without me. So this
Yeah.
is episode 166. It is March the 31st, and we are here to talk about things that we've been doing. We're going to do a deep dive into Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 2. We're going to talk a lot about that and just kind of things. Oh, we are also going to do our second ranking of the Marvel characters. We got a new matchup, and then we're going to rank them and see if they're more important or cooler than Rocket and Hawkeye. So before we do that, we like to thank the people that make all this happen, and that is our fine. They're like the Avengers of the Patreon world. There are Patreon members, supporters, the people that do all the support. Julius, Nathan B, Michael R, Trent B, Man and Steel, Scout 69, Dragonheart 76, Jeffrey H, The Gameplay Experience, RZ, and Phaedron. Thank you so much for your continued support. You all are amazing. You're like the A-team. What happened?
Nice. I'm just looking up on IMDb, and it looks like we're gonna get a third season of Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan,
Ooh,
and that's the John Krasinski one, and that makes me excited because I really like those.
you are a DBF. I forgot to push the stupid button again.
The button that says record. This is episode 166. We have been doing this for 166 weeks. That's more than 3 years.
You know,
Yeah, I saw that.
you
Don't worry about
you
it.
say that, but all right, Mike, what have you been up to? Tell me what you're up to before we jump into all the fun stuff.
All right. So before we jump into the fun stuff, I have been up to no good. I haven't been up to anything. It is allergy season here. That has taken its toll. That's just kind of what I do. I don't like to get allergies. I get allergies. Again, lots of the same stuff going on that's been going on week to week. I'm learning that I'm quite boring, or I'm not as exciting as I thought I was. But the kids
who
take
told
up a
you
lot
you
of
were
time.
exciting?
It's soccer practice. It's making sure the kids get to where they need to go for their events. It's making sure we get to gymnastics and we have all the leotards and we've got the lunches packed, and so it's fun. It's a lot of Myst. It's a lot of Beat Saber. It's a lot of sometimes just let me throw this headset on so I can tune out the rest of the world. Play some Beat Saber. Bought a couple. I just lost it. Wait for it. Bought a couple Linkin Park songs. Stuff that I didn't have before, and so yeah, nothing too exciting. Just the same old, same old.
Yeah,
Waiting for those moments when you can be off of work and hang out with the kids and sit on the couch, watch some basketball. Last night had some great NCAA tournament games. The Michigan UCLA game was awesome. UCLA was a number 11 seed, and they ended up upsetting a number 1 seed. So now the Final Four is set with a number 1 versus a number 11, and then a number 1 versus a number 2. So
There you go.
hopefully, and UCLA is playing Gonzaga, and Gonzaga has not lost this year. Hopefully, they still
Yeah.
have their magic going,
No,
and they can pull, because this will be the upset of all upsets.
Gonzaga always chokes. They always choke.
They haven't this
They
year, so they're-
always choke in the tournament. They go far, but then they always choke. That is something you can count on. I wish all the well. If you are a Gonzaga fan, then I hope they do it. But they always choke.
I don't think they always choke, and I doubt they're going to this time. But how cool would it be if UCLA is able to come out on top? That would be fun. And then the other side is Baylor, who I think really has a really good chance of winning. Baylor versus, oh shoot, and I just lost it. Who's the number 2? Houston. Baylor and Houston. So that'll be a good game. Both of those teams are from Texas, so it'll be fun.
I think it will be fun. I think you are correct.
I am glad that you finally think I'm correct at something.
Cool.
Because it doesn't happen often.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't happen often. So
It is pretty rare. I will give you that. Cool. You want me to go? Should I go? Who goes
You
first?
should
I
go. You should tell us what you're up to.
All right. So check
It's
this
probably
out.
not going to top what I'm up to. You're going to
Probably
because you were probably playing a mobile game while I was talking there. You don't listen to me. Nobody listens to me.
I could have been playing a mobile game because I got into, I don't know if I could say it. I'll say it. No one cares. I got into the Homeworld mobile alpha test. So I have
Didn't you just break NDA?
I don't know. I didn't read that NDA. It was for a mobile test game, so I didn't really read it. I guess you can come after me.
Oh, nice,
but
man.
whatever. So I've been doing that. I really enjoy Homeworld, and now it's mobile. And no, I definitely can't talk about it because that was part of the NDA. So, but yeah, that's the thing I'll be playing, and I will give my yep. There you go. That's the thing that's out that you can sign up. Anyone can sign up for it.
Restart this part, and we'll just
I disagree. Oh, we should just edit more of the show. We should actually edit the show live to hard drive, people. All right, so because I bought a Switch, look around, make sure my kids aren't here because I still haven't told them that I have a Switch.
It's been a week and you haven't told them, and they haven't found out either?
I'm trying to figure out a way to leverage it as a parent to maybe that they'll actually like me or do the things that I ask them to without grumbling.
Once they find out that you've been hiding it for this long, they're really not going to like you.
Oh, it's not like I'm hiding that one of them's like adopted or something. It's just that I have a Switch. All right, so I have been still playing the Project Triangle Strategy demo. So far, I have 3 hours into this demo. Mike, would you like to guess how many of those hours are actually gameplay?
They are, let's see, of the 3, I'm going to go with 20 minutes.
You're pretty close. It's about 30 minutes of actual gameplay. The story is very involved, and like I said before, they drop you right in the middle. And it's like a Game of Thrones level. Like there's a bunch of different houses that are trying to figure out how to stop this battle from happening or whose side they need to join and all these different machinations of all these different people. And there are separate scenes for all of these. So when you go to a separate scene, it pauses, goes back to the main map, and there'll be a bunch of exclamation points. And if they're red, it's like, hey, this is the main story. If they're green, they're kind of like bonuses. So if you click on them, it's just story. There's no moving around. There's no gameplay. It's just a bunch of people talking, and you like get story like that, and then a thing will pop up and it'll say, you learned this about this person. And I guess you'll be able to use that in the future when you have dialogues with these NPCs, and it'll kind of open up more of the story that way. But there's very exposition heavy, lots of dialogue, lots of voice acting. I don't know if I like the combat yet. They said that they turned up the difficulty for this demo, which is kind of weird for them to do. Normally for demos, you want people to have fun in a demo. So it's pretty difficult right now, playing through it. And the way it's presented, there's a lot of, it's kind of like it's a strategy. It's a turn-based strategy game where you move your guys, set them up. Which way do they face? If they're behind you, you're going to get hit in the back and you're going to take extra damage, and you have to have elevation and all this stuff. And I think it doesn't really explain a lot. One of the things that I really like about a game like Into the Breach, it kind of shows you everything that's going to happen the next turn, so you can kind of strategize that way. This one, you kind of have to wait for the other players to move, and hopefully they move the spot you want. So I think I'm having fun with it. Not sure if this demo has convinced me to buy the full release whenever it actually releases, but I'm glad I've got to play around with the demo. So that's that. And then, so I know a lot of people have been talking about this game called Narita Boy. At first I thought Narita Boy was just like the name of a new musical band that was out there, because it sounds like Narita Boy could be a rapper for some reason. So I haven't really paid much attention to it, but while I was at soccer practice waiting for my kids to finish up, I was cruising on the Twitter and found a tweet about this game called Narita Boy, and I was like, what the crap is this? Because it is a pixel animation Castlevania Metroidvania style game, and like the look of it just like captured me and sucked me in, and I was like, what is this? I need to know more about it. So this is just off of the website. Like I'll post a link. So first of all, it looks like Tron. Like the splash page for Narita Boy is like paying homage to Tron. There's a dude standing in the center holding a sword up, and it's got that light beam, you know, when Tron holds up his disc and there's like a huge beam of light coming out of it. Anyway, he has a thing called a techno sword. And I don't know if you know me, Mike, but like I was like, there's a techno sword, I am in. Like, here's all my money, I'm down with this. I want to know what happened, what you do with the techno sword. It just sounds freaking cool. So I watched the trailer. I bought it. It is loaded up on my Switch, and I'm waiting to play this game once the show is over. So just real quick, this is off of the website. The retro futuristic pixel game. Explore and fight in a retro futuristic world. Swim deep into a Oneric. How do you say that? Oneiric. What word is that? Oneric. An oniric, poetic, and unique experience across dimensional planes. The aesthetic of the game was inspired by retro pixel adventures Castlevania, Another World, Double Dragon with a modern touch, and an 80s plot homage. Ready Player One. I'm just going to forget that Ready Player One has anything to do with this game. He-Man, The Last Starfighter, which is something I enjoy, accompanied by a retro synth touch of the old glory days. So here's the quick synopsis of the story. Flashback to the 80s. The creator, a genius of his time, creates a video game console called Narita 1, with its flagship title being a game called Narita Boy. Narita Boy becomes a tremendous hit. Copies of the cartridge are flying off physical shelves worldwide. Within weeks, Narita Boy is the top best-selling video game of all time and critically acclaimed for its homage to 80s culture and the exceptionally kickin' soundtrack. Meanwhile, inside the binaural code, the digital realm connects with reality. Him has returned and deleted the creator's memories. Supervisor's program, Motherboard, and her agents have activated their Narita Boy protocol. The Stallions are coming, and the digital kingdom needs a hero. If you understood all that, congratulations. But I really suggest everyone go and look at this, because this art style just is like, this was my jam. So it is now loaded on my Switch, and I am excited to dive in deep and play through Narita Boy and report on it next week, because I'm pretty excited about it, Mike. I don't know if you know, but Techno Swords are just freaking cool. I don't even know what they do, but I want a Techno Sword.
I think you should get a Techno Sword, and I think you should do what you need to do to get a Techno Sword.
I just don't know what that is yet.
I bet you don't know what a Techno Sword is? It goes like this.
How does it go again?
I don't want to tell you.
All right. Shall we jump into the news?
I do have a little bit of news that we could share.
I should push a button after I write down a timestamp, and we should jump into the news. Hey, Justin. Where are you, Justin? Huh.
Justin?
Keanu?
Keanu?
Oh, no, don't do this to me right now.
Oh, come on.
My Stream Deck
Did it
has
do it?
died.
Oh, no, Stream Deck. Wah, wah, wah.
No, this is not okay. Let me see. No one can see into my laundry room door, just so you know. So I'm going to go ahead and figure this out while you tell us about the news.
I do have a little bit of news. It's something that kind of happened since our last episode. I got this piece of news Thursday after we recorded on Wednesday. This is something that our family does, and so we're going to talk about it because it's something kind of big. But Disneyland, which has been a location of many of our family's vacations for many years, definitely holds a place in our family history as the place that we would go on vacation. It was just announced that they are getting another new expansion coming soon. We don't have many details. We just know that it's been planned.
I gotta talk to you about something.
Our man on the street, Mike, is over in front of Disneyland. Mike, tell us about Disneyland.
All right. So like I was saying, so Disneyland is going to get another new expansion for those who go to Disney and visit Disney, specifically Disneyland. This expansion is oops, and I just clicked out of the wrong thing. This expansion is about, for me, just looking at the pictures, aerial views, it looks like it is the same size as DCA. Stop doing that, buddy.
I didn't do it.
You know how when you get to like queue up an article and then something pops up and you can't get rid of it until you click that button.
I hate
the button
advertisers,
is so
man.
Tiny.
And they hide the
It's
X.
the worst.
Like you can't
And
find
they
the
hide
X.
the X.
Like why is not the X in every spot? And it's like,
Right.
oh, the X is over here. It's real dumb. I
Yeah.
agree.
So part of the things that is happening with this is that there are possibly new attractions, new lands, new restaurants, new shopping experiences. There actually is a great what's the word?
Factory.
Wait for it.
Fabricator.
Not factory.
Laundry
It's,
chute. Laundry detergent. Automobile.
it's a picture that
Constructor.
shows up.
Concept art.
Jeez, oh Pete, Mike. Concept art. So the concept art of this new area planned is expansive. It's huge. I can see some hotels. I see water elements. It looks like an area is going to be modeled after Neverland. I did read an article saying that it looked like they were going to have some Wakandan type elements here. There was going to be a giant panther. It definitely looks super, super cool. It is taking the place of the Timon parking lot that used to be, and I get my bearings a little bit messed up down in there in Southern California, but I believe it's to the west.
To the west.
I believe it's to the west of Disneyland and
but you should
and
look to
downtown
the east.
Disney, where this new area is going to go. So it's huge, it's big, it looks cool. I'm excited. There you go.
Hey, it looks like Devin's in the chat. Huh. Oh, hey, Devin in the chat, maybe. That's really cool, Mike. I'm excited because you love that kind of stuff, so I'm excited for your excitement. I know a lot of people online have, like, mixed feelings of, like, why are you expanding? And it's like, well, because Disney Plus is making billions of dollars, so...
It is really interesting that there is that kind of... that people are getting kind of upset at that, because I know many people that I talk to really want Disneyland to get bigger, right? Many people say that it's crowded. Many people say that they need it larger, and so this just seems to make sense. But it's cool. It's really cool looking. I like the way that they've done it. So hopefully it'll be a nice addition.
I agree. Disneyland should be larger, and there you go.
3 or 4 years in the making. Like with as large as it is, it's probably going to be a big project.
I don't know. They could have, like, knocked it out last year. No one was there. They could have, like, put...
I was there recently,
and
there were no signs of it. So there you go.
They're still working on, like, the whole Marvel thing, aren't they?
That was getting close to being done. I did still see some barriers up when we went into DCA when we were there over spring break. I hear that it's going along. Disney gets to open April 30th with limited capacity and things. So
For only
I bet
California
we will
residents.
get those first pictures out right around that time.
Well, that will be fun. Cool. All right, let's move on to the next thing. I didn't have any news because we got lots of stuff to talk about here, so we're going to jump from that bit of news over to our ranking of Marvel characters. We need a bumper for this. Can you, like, on the fly come up with a bumper for our Let's Rank Marvel characters?
Ba-dum-ba-bum-ba-bum-bum-ba. Time to rank the Marvel characters. Put them in order of their awesomeness. We need to put them in the order of their awesomeness.
I will cap that out, and we will use it for the future. All right, so quick recap. Last time on our rankings, we have Rocket Raccoon as our number 1 pick, and we have Hawkeye as number 2. So, Mike, I went over to Twitter, and I said, yo, rank these 2 people, and I had a theme. Let's see if you can guess my theme. I chose Gamora and Hulk. Gamora and Hulk. So what's the theme there, Mike?
Green.
There you go. See, that wasn't so hard. So now we're going to...
Is that really it? You must have been allergied today also.
I set this up like a long time ago, man. I am in this thing. Okay, so interesting thing to discuss, though. When we were talking about the Hulk, we're just talking about the Hulk, the Green Man himself, right? We're not talking about Bruce Banner.
Are we?
What do you think? Because they're 2 different characters, kind of. Well, I guess at the end, they kind of become one, but in the beginning, they're not. So what do you think? Like, how do we categorize Hulk as 1 character, 2 characters, or actually 3 different characters?
So there are actually 3 characters there, aren't there? Because there's Bruce Banner, there's the Incredible Hulk, and then there's Professor Hulk. So since you put Hulk, then we are just thinking of the green guy with anger issues.
But we're not thinking of Professor
Hulk? Not
Hulk?
to be confused with the green lady with anger issues.
So who do you pick here? Who do you pick over the other? Do you pick Gamora or do you pick the Hulk?
Gamora has more nuance to her. right? She has more to fight for than Hulk. Really, Hulk when you just boil Hulk down to Hulk, he's just Hulk smash, right?
Just a bunch of gamma
all he
radiation.
is. Yep. But then you get to Ragnarok, and he definitely has more personality in Ragnarok. Hulk does. I enjoy that Hulk. He's not terrible. He's funny when he goes after Serta, right at the end of Ragnarok. He
doesn't. You're right. He has more character than. So man,
he
are
has
there
more
four
character
different?
than,
Are
like,
there four
Hulk and
different Hulks?
Avengers.
Are we gonna call it? We'll call him Planet Hulk. No, Planet Hulk is a whole different thing. So
I actually have, again, a slight problem with Hulk because he is invincible, right? We've talked about that with him there seem to be no stakes. Even so, like, the Chitauri are no match for him. The only time he's even kind of stumbled by the Chitauri is when there's 50 of them blasting him at once, and even then he only is stopped because the story needs him to be stopped to create some false stakes when the nuclear missile is headed to the city. So I put Hulk. Go ahead.
Russ in the chat is voting for Gamora. Says that she has more character about her than the Hulk does. So you're gonna put Hulk. You're gonna vote for Gamora over Hulk then in our little 2-person head-to-head combat. Because
Yes, I am. I am gonna put Hulk. I am gonna put Gamora over Hulk, but I'm not gonna put either of them over Hawkeye and Rocket.
Before you get to that, Rusted also in the chat says there was a line in Avengers where Bruce says he tried to commit suicide by putting a gun in his mouth, but the Hulk spat out the bullet. It's one heck of a transformation. So I agree. I'm going to choose Gamora over the Hulk because I also think Hulk, power-wise, is just I don't like the Hulk very much because there's not much to like about the Hulk. Like, even his shtick of, like, smash things, punch Thor, I think that's kind of funny. But I have always liked the cartoon version of the Hulk where him and Bruce Banner have agreed that the Hulk is going to kind of, like, be in control. Like, Bruce Banner is there writing in the background while the Hulk takes over because he kind of gains more character. Like, I like that version of the Hulk. I don't like the switching back and forth because I don't really think Bruce Banner is very interesting in the MCU at all anyway. So I agree. I'm going to choose Gamora because I think Gamora has a lot more personality. I think she is more fun to watch in the movies. So we're going to choose Gamora over this. But in our ranking of Rocket versus Hawkeye, it's funny that we have 2 Guardians now on this list already. Maybe I need to pick my matchups better if we already have 2 Guardians. So where do you put Gamora? Do you want to rank Gamora first, or do you want to rank Hulk first?
I think it's for me. It's easy. It's Hawkeye 1, Rocket 2, Gamora 3, Hulk 4.
That's not what our list is. Our list right now is Rocket 1, Hawkeye 2.
My list.
No, we're going off the Freelancer Codex list.
Oh, well then, what did everybody vote for then? Because everybody voted. Isn't that the Freelancer Codex? Yeah, that's how it is.
No,
so then
the list that we have,
it goes Hawkeye, Rocket, Gamora, Hulk.
No, so
just put Gamora and Hulk 3 and 4.
No, because I'm not going to do that because I think I like Gamora more than Hawkeye actually. Phaedron says he hasn't watched Marvel things since Endgame. Well, you should be able to weigh in because you've seen Hulk and you've seen Gamora. So you're gonna put Hawkeye over Gamora.
Oh yeah.
So the only rule that we have now, because the Twitter voted Gamora 51% and Hulk 48%, Gamora cannot go below Hulk on our list. So wherever we stick Hulk, Gamora has to go above Hulk. If that makes any sense. Always. No, it does.
Is what I'm saying not coming through?
It never is.
Gamora 3, Hulk 4.
I don't think Gamora should be number 3. I think she has more character and depth than Hawkeye does in the movies that she's been in. She even had, she's like the daughter of Thanos. Hawkeye's just like some guy with a bow and arrow. I'm going to put Hulk as number 4 because that's where Hulk belongs. He'll probably drop more. You really think that she's better than Hawkeye, character-wise?
I don't think she's better than Hawkeye character-wise.
Oh, I see what you did.
What has she done? What has she done?
I don't know. She like helped save the galaxy from Ronin. She helped stop
Yeah, and
Star-Lord because he has dad issues.
and Hawkeye.
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye. Hawkeye
Hawkeye
hasn't done that, so there you go.
Phaedron says Hawkeye in last place. So there you go, Mike. Phaedron coming in with the deep facts. Also, like Hulk, well, we're not talking about. Anyway, so for the purpose of this, since Mike keeps leaving, I'm going to go ahead and move Gamora above Hawkeye because I have control of this list, and we will just leave the list. Since Mike's gone and cannot dispute this, we will leave the list as Rocket, Gamora, Hawkeye, then Hulk. So far, we've got 2 Avengers representing our list of the best MCU characters, and we'll kind of go from there. So, all right, chat. So tell me who we need to rank next week. Put in the chat who we need to rank next week, and we'll put it in our Twitter poll, and we'll rank it that way. Sorry, Mike. Chat said Gamora bet over Hawkeye, so we have to go with chat. I don't know if we can argue with chat. So
there's like 2 people in chat.
There's a little more than that, but hey, we'll go with that.
Whatever.
Someday, Mike, your list.
Someday.
Yeah.
Things are gonna get easier.
All right, so we just had someone else come into chat. Okay, so Russ would say 2 baddies. Do 2 baddies. So who should we do as baddies for next time? Who would be a good baddie?
Vulture is a good baddie.
Vulture is a good baddie. So we'll put Vulture.
Who else do I like? Vulture against.
We can do
Oh, wait for it.
Doc Ock. We haven't seen Doc Ock yet. We've seen Doc Ock in another Sony production.
In another Spider-Man iteration, but not this one. Vulture and
Ebony Maw, because everyone's favorite Ebony Maw. No, Ebony Maw is pretty lame. So he would be way down there. He got sucked out of the vacuum of space, which is pretty unfortunate. Come on, think of a bad guy. Ultron? No.
So I'm thinking of the movies, right? And like
there's a lot of movies.
Loki's a baddie in one of them, but then he has a recurring role in a redemption arc, so we can't do him.
You could do him.
The Mandalorian. Sorry, the Mandarin.
The Mandalorian. The Mandarin. That's pretty lame.
Mandarin's not a bad one. He's not a bad baddie. He's not a good baddie, but he's not a bad baddie.
He's not a good character at all.
Ronin, we talked about.
We could put Ronin on here.
Who's the bad guy in Ant-Man? Oh yeah, what's his name in Ant-Man? Yellow Jacket.
Lawrence
Man.
Fishburne.
He's Ant-Man 2.
Yellow Jacket, man, how bad are we that we don't even remember the names of? Obviously, that had a huge impact.
How bad are the characters? How bad are the characters that we don't even remember their names?
Ant-Man villain. Rusted said he was in House of Cards. Also, Darren Agonistes Cross. Agonistes. What kind of weird name is that? So we're gonna do that.
His name is Yellow Jacket. Like that's his bad guy name is Yellow Jacket.
Okay. So I'm going to put his real name so that we remember his real name, and then we'll put Yellow Jacket.
You may need to put his movie also.
Yeah, we'll put, what did he do? Yellow Jacket and Vulture, 2 flying people. So there you go. That'll be the...
Who is the bad guy in the first Spider-Man? That was Vulture, huh?
Yes, that was Vulture.
Who was the bad guy in the second Spider-Man?
Mysterio.
Oh, what's his name? Mysterio.
Gyllenhaal.
Mysterio.
Rusted says, Goblin. We have not seen the Goblin yet in the MCU, but I would like to see the Goblin. I like the Green Goblin as a...
Can anybody but Dafoe do Green Goblin?
Can anyone but Dafoe do Power Rangers Goblin? Yes, I hope so. I hope someone can do something that is not Power Rangers Goblin. That's what we would all like.
Do you think that, side note, do you think that they'll go Goblin after having it been done in the other Spider-Man?
I'm not sure. With the rumors that we have with it going like multiverse, they're thinking it might be like the Sinister Six. If they think Melina's going to come in as Doc Ock, and then we're going to have other people going in. So that I think they're doing that. I think in the Spider-Man Ultimate Universe, Green Goblin is kind of like a Jekyll, Mr. Hyde guy. He turns into this huge, massive dude, which is a pretty cool look for the Green Goblin. It'd be cool if they did something like that, but I'm not sure what they're going to do with that movie. We'll just have to wait to find out until later this year. All right, Mike, should we talk about the thing we've come here to talk about?
We can talk about the thing that we came here to talk about. And hopefully everybody here is ready to talk about the thing that we came here to talk about and is all caught up, at least with 2 episodes of The Winter Soldier.
And you know
the
what?
Falcon.
Even if you're not caught up, like, you could listen to the show and you can get everything that you need from the show. You don't even have to watch it and come in here and listening to us. It's like you watched it.
Except you could get it, all of that, except the comedic timing.
Exactly. So here we go with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 2.
Rule number 2.
What was rule number 2?
Nobody gets hurt. It's a big one.
And why isn't there rule number 1?
I always wanted to be an Avenger.
Oh man, it's a dream come true, you know?
We need someone to inspire us again. Someone who can be a symbol for all of us.
We need new heroes.
And we do need new heroes. And to start off, I would like to say at the beginning of this, since Falcon and the Winter Soldier deals with race, social issues, there's a couple of podcasts and content creators that I have been following for quite some time and checking out, and some new ones that I found out that have a much different perspective than 2 Hispanic guys talking on the internet about a show that has to deal with racism. So, For All Nerds Show is a podcast by 2 black content creators. They did an episode focused on, they do a lot of Marvel stuff. You can go check them out for a more nuanced look into those social issues that they have more experience with. Or you can check out Straw Hat Goofy on TikTok. He's actually one of the people I follow on TikTok. Also a Disney Parks employee at one time, and talks a lot about movies and different things, and pretty big Marvel head. So go check them out if you want more perspective on the things that people like Sam face. So I think it's important that we address race and stuff like that. Mike and I have had lots of conversations when we talk about things like this on what our voices matter to the issues and stuff like that. And I think something that Mike can always talk about is when you see something is wrong, you call it out and you do the right thing. So, and I think that's how my wife and I have raised our boys, that when you see something that's wrong and it's obvious that it's wrong, you call it out. When you don't know, you learn and you educate yourself, and you try to make the world a better place, no matter who is around you, no matter who it is. We strongly believe in the golden rule that you treat others how you want to be treated. And I think if we all did that in the world would be a better place. True statement, Mike?
I think you're headed in the right direction.
You don't think the golden rule would make everything better?
I think it definitely would make it would make lots of things better. Maybe not everything, because I don't like to deal in absolutes, but it would definitely start somewhere. It would definitely start us in the right direction.
All right. So golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated. And you know what? Call out bad stuff when you see it. All right. So let's talk about episode 2.
Just don't be rude about it.
Don't be rude about it?
Yeah, don't be rude. I mean, just don't be rude.
All
I don't
right.
know.
Again, you want to treat others how you want to be treated, right? So
I'm on a lot of allergy medicine, so I don't know what I'm saying.
I understand. So episode 2 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier is titled The Star-Spangled Man, which is a throwback to the song that was sung about Steve Rogers when he was selling war bonds to a bunch of people. So we open up, previous episode, we got our first shot at Walmart Captain America. And we see him in a locker room at a high school. So John Walker is reminiscing of the glory days of high school football, like people do when they reminisce about high school. Mike, are you a high school reminiscer? Because I hated high school. Never want to think about it again. I was so glad when I was out of there. Never.
I am not a high school reminiscer. I don't.
Good.
It's safer that way.
So John Walker's reminiscing. He's in high school, and their high school locker room is pretty nice. I'm guessing this was probably shot in some college facility, but they're saying that they're in a high school. They got a nice facility. I don't know where this was at, but man, they've got doors on their lockers. This is a high class place. Never seen such a nice. They're got to be in Texas for a football stadium
because
like
there
this,
are
right?
doors on their lockers.
Yeah, seriously. So John Walker, he's talking about there. His girlfriend comes in to give him a pep talk to check on him.
Everybody in the world expects me to be something, and I don't want to fail them.
expectation is a big thing that I think a lot of people have to deal with. You're expected to be something. You're expected to live up to the family name. You're expected to go to a good college. You're expected to go become a doctor. And that's tough for a lot of people to handle. And I was curious, like, what does the world actually expect from a Captain America right now? I mean, the Avengers just brought, like, billions of people back. I mean, I don't know where you go from there. Like, all right, you brought everyone back from the dead. Now what else are you going to do for us? You know what? What expectations does America have on Captain America at this point? Just defend the world from threats? Don't let the world explode? Or is it just like, no, I think we're good. Like, take a break?
So remember that, and I think this is hit on quite heavily in this episode, is that yes, everybody is back, but nobody's thought about the challenges that brings to a world, right? So if you really were to think about it and really put yourself in a situation where half of the world is gone and then they come back. So what are some of the things that could happen?
Dude, I thought about this.
So someone, okay, you go.
And you know what came to mind is like marriages.
Yeah. That's one of the things. Like a partner leaves and then the one grieves and like decides to move on, is married, and then look, I'm back.
Like, whoa.
And then there's people who left apartments who are coming back to other people living in their homes. There are bank accounts that have gone unclaimed. There are probably, property has been stolen, I'm sure places have been looted. I'm sure that after an initial period of chaos, we're starting to get a sense of normalcy for the people in that time now. That's the normal, right? And then everybody comes back and all these people need jobs. All these people need places to live. All these people need income. I'm sure there are some CEOs coming back saying, all right, give me all my stuff back. I'm the CEO of this company after, being gone for 5 years. I'm sure that many things have changed. You think about all the prisoners who blipped out and then blipped back in. Like, I guess if we keep the same kind of thing, prisoners blipped back into prison because that's where they were when they blipped out, right? Because we're assuming that happened.
It's got to be 5 years off the sentence, though.
Is it? They weren't here, right? And then you have this whole thing. Well, where were you for those 5 years? What were you doing? Does it count for something? I've lived 5 years, but you haven't. So, so how does that all work?
Man, there's got to be
a lot of stuff that
there's got to be novels.
I think that right now the country is in a little bit of turmoil, and they don't have a sense of direction, which is probably why they want someone to be a figurehead, right? And that's kind of what Captain America started out as. He wasn't meant to be a hero. He was meant to sell war bonds, right? So maybe they just need a figurehead, someone that everybody can get behind, a mascot.
Yeah, we need novels to address all these questions because I think there's a lot of cool ideas that someone could like flesh out and create some cool stuff. So John and his buddy come in. His best friend is named Lamar Hoskins, and he comes in to help him feel a little bit better. So John and Hoskins talk about the job and all the handshakes and all the meetings.
This suit comes with expectations, bro. You can't just punch your way out of problems anymore. Mm-hmm.
So it does come with expectations. Maybe this is why like Sam didn't really want it. He didn't want those expectations of being, a different Captain America. But we'll talk more about that later on. So John puts on the new suit. He comes out to a band playing the Star Spangled Man. The high school band is killing it. I don't know how many of you listen to high school bands, but they definitely do not kill it like this band is. As we get a celebration, John comes out and signs some action figures that have already been made of him in his new suit. And of course, on the Freelancer Codex podcast, we dive into stupid little details like this and kind of ask the question of, okay, how, why, and what's the ramifications of this? How long has the government been planning to roll John out as the next Captain America? Because to us, this is pretty soon after Sam gives up the shield. Like, I think this is like within days of him giving it up. they roll out John and present him at this high school as the new Captain America. If you were to have superhero action figures already made of John in his new suit, you had to have been planning this way longer than Sam giving the shield back. So they never had any intention of letting Sam be Captain America. Like, this was just not something that the government was going to do. So the action figure, they take a long time to produce. The box doesn't have a shield in it. So I think no matter what, they were going to create a new Captain America. Sam giving back the shield was just kind of, I think, a bonus for the government. They're like, okay, cool, thanks. We didn't expect this, but now we have the shield, and now I guess it makes... Because there wasn't even any mention of like, hey, this was passed down from Captain America to Sam, and now it's given to you. They were just going to roll out a new Captain America with or without Sam Wilson's blessing. That's all that information taken from John signing an action figure.
So take that as you will, right? Because there's definitely a lot of nuance there. I mean, that's a lot to unpack, and that's a lot to think about. I don't know how much of that is real and true. And again, one of the hard things is that we don't have the best sense of the timeline here. You know, had 6 hours passed, had 6 months passed, so we don't know.
Well, it's definitely not 6 months because, well, I wouldn't think so, because Sam was like right on the Flag Smashers trail. I don't think he would have let 6 months pass without like tracking them down. So I think this was really soon after. I don't think you can turn around, especially with like the world in disarray. Like, who's over there in China making action figures and printing them out, putting them in these boxes? The government never was going to have Sam to be Captain America. So, all right. So we cut to Bucky watching the presser in shock. He is not happy about this. And then we cut to Sam. Oh, before that, sorry, I skipped this whole thing. I scrolled down on my thing and messed it up. So John says, "Good morning to America." It's nighttime, but whatever. And people are like really celebrating John, which I think is weird. I don't know if they're just like, all right, applause now, people, but people are kind of like freaking out about it. We get some shots of John using the shield to destroy some test targets. Apparently he's already a pro with it. And then he talks with some lady, and they're asking like, why is he qualified to be the Captain America?
A guy like me end up...
Oh, wait. A guy like me, somebody's being a bit too humble. For those of you who aren't familiar with John's resume, John Walker, first person in American history to receive 3 Medals of Honor, ran RS-1 missions in counterterrorism and hostage rescue, the government to the study of your body at MIT, and you tested off the charts in every measurable category: speed, endurance, intelligence.
Look, here's the thing.
And as I was thinking about this, like, these were none of the things that Steve Rogers was, right? He was a little kid from Queens that just wouldn't give up. And he had the heart. Like, I think when whatever the doctor's name that like chose Steve, he chose him for those reasons. And they even went to say like, hey, we're not going to choose this other guy that passed all the tests that was strong, because that's not what makes, you know, the person great. Like, the serum is supposed to make what's great greater and makes what's bad worse. So I don't know. It's just a weird, like, hey, we chose this guy because of all these physical things, but that's not why Steve was chosen in the first place.
Well, you know what, Steve, as I go back and I look at this stuff, as I scrub through the episode, kind of see how it is. So this is a set, right? The thing that's happening here is that John Williams, that's his name, John Williams.
No, it's now you have me questioning. What's his name? John.
It's Williams, isn't it? Walker.
There you go, Walker. I knew it was a W.
Walker. So anyway, he is. This whole thing is set up to be a spot on Good Morning America, right? So this is a band that is all decked out in Captain America stuff. Everybody in the stands has a Captain America hat, an American flag, and hoodies. This is like his coming out, right? Yep. This is where he's being introduced. So and you made an interesting point here. Like, I think we are not supposed to like John at this point, right? We're not supposed to like be on his side, because he really is everything that goes against what Captain America was. the scrawny kid from Queens who was a good man. Not to say that this guy isn't,
But he's probably not.
But he's not. But he's not what
Steve
was set up. He's not
Yeah.
what Steve is. He's not what Steve is.
Yeah, so we cut to Sam then, and Sam is getting ready to go out on a mission with Torres, and Sam's looking at an army poster with John Walker's face, saying Cap is back, and I don't know if they just like, all right, print up all these posters, put them everywhere, because Cap is like, there's a U.S. Army logo on the poster, but they're in an Air Force hangar, so I don't know if like the Army's just like raiding a bunch of other like militaries and like, hey, we're putting up our poster because Cap is back. So like everyone's all excited about it. Sam is not excited. So he's prepping to go to Munich, and Taurus is going to help him get him there. And Bucky meets Sam and tells him he shouldn't have done it.
Shouldn't have given up the shield.
Good to see you too, Buck.
This is wrong.
Hey, look. I'm working, all right? So all this outrage is gonna have to wait.
You didn't know that was gonna happen?
No, of course I didn't know that was gonna happen. You think it didn't break my heart to see them march him out there and call him the new Captain America?
This isn't what Steve wanted.
Oh my God, so what do you want me to do? Call America and tell him I changed my mind? Huh?
I guess you could just like, who do you call at that point? So Sam tells Bucky he doesn't have the time to fight right now because he's kind of busy.
It's over, Bucky. Besides, I have bigger things to deal with now.
What could be bigger than this?
This guy. His connections with rebel organizations all over Eastern and Central Europe, and he's strong. Too strong.
And?
Well, he's been connected to this online group called the Flag Smashers. Now, Red Wing traced them to a building somewhere outside of Munich, so that's where I'm going.
Well, I don't trust Red Wing.
You
Hold
don't-
on a minute.
You don't have to trust Red Wing. But I'm gonna go see if he's right.
All right, so Sam and Bucky are going to go track down the Flag Smashers, and that's what Sam's going to throw himself at. He's got a problem he can solve, and he's not going to be able to solve that. You know, John Walker is now the Captain America, so he's going to go do something that he can do, and he's going to go figure that out. That was my take on it, so he's upset. They're all upset about the whole thing. Red Wing's pretty impressive. Like, Red Wing's all the way over in Munich. I don't know if he's like just connecting to the internet or if he's actually over there physically.
I think that this is just the recon that he did, because Red Wing is controlled by Sam.
And it seems like there's
At
like
least,
some
at
AI
least in the
going
early
on.
movies he was. Maybe he's evolving.
Yeah, Sam's.
I don't think I like that he's been given a personality. Right, he's a piece of hardware.
And he talks.
mean-
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, I'm not, and it's. We'll talk a little bit about it later in the show. That it's just kind of like, oh, he's really good when he needs to be, and not so much when he's not. All right, so
He's Legolas at the Battle of Helm's Deep.
yeah, at this point, I think Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan actually start like showing up more in the show because I think they let them riff a lot in this show, and they just kind of like pick out the good takes because you can definitely tell like when those two are having fun, I think, compared to when they're like delivering the lines that they're supposed to.
So I have a feeling they might be a part of the Big Three.
What big three?
The Big Three.
What big three?
Androids, aliens, and wizards.
That's not a thing.
That's definitely a thing.
No, it's not.
Every time we fight one of the three.
So who are you fighting now, Gandalf?
I definitely get that sense that they're just like having fun, like acting with each other. And you can definitely tell when it comes out, especially with like, hey, you're fighting Gandalf?
How do you know about Gandalf?
I read The Hobbit in 1937 when it first came out.
So you see my point.
No.
I like how he says, how do you know about Gandalf?
How do you know about Gandalf? How do you know about Gandalf?
But it's just something I picked out. You can kind of tell that they're having fun with it. So they set out to go find the Flag Smashers, and they stare at each other a bunch. And that's just something that is very recurring, that Bucky likes to stare at Sam, and Sam likes to stare at Bucky. They got like this weird bromance going on, and they're trying to like flinch. My boys do this all the time at the dinner table. They just start staring at you, and they're like, you flinched, Dad, you blinked. It's like, whatever. All right. So when they get there, Mike, it's always important to have a plan. And you know who had a plan? Steve had a plan.
Enjoy your ride, Buck.
No, you can't call me that.
Why not? That's what Steve called you.
Steve knew me longer, and Steve had a plan.
So I want to go back real quick though, Steve. 'Cause I
Okay,
think
let's
we
go
skipped a line that is pretty telling, right? And I think it does take place in the hangar, and Bucky is really taking it hard that Sam is giving the shield back. And one of the lines that he says is that, you know, you have to take this shield because if you don't, that means that Steve was
Oh
wrong
no,
about
so
you.
that's later on in the episode.
Oh, that's later on? Okay.
Yeah. So
I won't jump the gun then.
You're jumping the shark. You're jumping the Steve shark. All right, so we jump out into the forest, and Sam's like, hey, I caught that all on camera. And Bucky, they go into this warehouse, this abandoned warehouse, and they find the Flag Smashers. The Flag Smashers are moving large crates of stuff by hand. They're super strong. And the two make a plan to take them down. One interesting thing, Sam stops Bucky and tells him, I have a button.
I see a clear path. I say we take it.
We're not assassins.
I'll see you inside. Or not.
Bucky is an assassin. He killed lots of people. So maybe this is Sam like saying, hey, remember we're not assassins? Or bringing up old wounds. I don't think Sam would bring up an old wound on purpose to hurt Bucky. He doesn't seem like that kind of guy. But it's just interesting that, yeah, he was an assassin and he's something that he's trying to get through. And you can't really smash the flag, Mike, because it's fabric. And we call them the Flag Smashers.
I think it's a metaphor there, Steve.
For smashing the flag? Like, shouldn't you call it like the line eraser? It's just like a weird like visual, like you're the flags, like smashing pumpkins you can do. Smashing flags, they just kind of like, you can't smash a flag. You can freeze it, and then you could smash it, I suppose.
Yeah, you could, Steve.
On that note, we get more banter from the duo.
Look at you. All stealthy. Little time in Wakanda and you come out White Panther.
It's actually White Wolf.
Huh?
Yeah, so he's got nicknames. Sam's like surprised he's got nicknames, but hey, he's called the White Wolf. And that's something that plays later on in the comics when T'Challa finds someone and trains them up to be the White Wolf. This could also be something that eventually, as Bucky, Rusted says, I'm with Steve, the visualization isn't giving the people who use it what they think. See, I'm not wrong. Like, you can say I'm crazy, but being a flag smasher is like you're just grabbing a blanket and throwing it on the ground. It doesn't have the same effect as, Hydra or something like that. So, yeah. Throw your flags on the ground, I guess. You could call them flag burners. That doesn't sound as good. Flag destroyers, flag rippers. We'll workshop it. But going back to the White Wolf thing, this is something that maybe as Bucky learns to make amends or finally finishes righting the wrongs he committed, he goes from being the Winter Soldier who was the assassin and murdered all these people to becoming the White Wolf, someone that has a new start in life or gets to start over, or gets to become something different, change the things that he was made to be. All right, so we get back to Red Wing using X-ray vision, and they see a whole group of people, and then some action starts. And this is a pretty interesting action scene. We can step through it pretty quickly. So Bucky and Sam think that the Flag Smashers, Rustin in the chat says, maybe it's actually highly ironic, meaning ineffective. You can't smash thin cloth against the ground. All your force behind the throwing is dissipated by the billing of the material. Maybe that's what's going to happen with the Flag Smashers. They're just going to be so ineffective that everyone's like, what are you doing? And we can talk about that a little bit later as we talk about what exactly the Flag Smashers are. These are the things that people want to talk about, Mike.
They sure can't see someone jumping on a trailer in front of them.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too. So as the action starts, Red Wing sees a person in a trailer, and Bucky and Sam are like, hey, they've got hostages. We got to go save them because that's what heroes do. So Bucky takes off. I think this is one of the things that we do on the podcast is we go through scene by scene, pick out the things that work well, pick out the things that don't. Bucky runs right in front of the second semi, jumps onto the back of the trailer, and that back semi, I mean, there's a driver just staring at him. There's probably someone in the passenger seat, and they've got to be like, did you just see that? There's a guy climbing into our truck. Should we do something? No, honking of the horn, no one swerving. They're just like, all right, I guess we'll see how this plays out. So Bucky, says, hey, we know what they're taking now.
They're stealing medicine, vaccines.
They're stealing vaccines. They're going to go take them to the people that have been forgotten because the government is so worried about everyone that came back. All the people that were here, they aren't getting their medicine or the vaccine. So the Flag Smashers, they could call them hey, we're the vaccine still. Anyway, so they're going to go take their vaccines and give them to all these people. Right. So Bucky discovers a woman on the truck. She turns out to be a Flag Smasher, kicks Bucky out of the truck into the second one, and then she puts a mask on. I don't know why she put the mask on afterwards. Like, just fight with the mask off. Like, they've seen your face. So
Well, I think I think this is one of those things that's supposed to be the reveal for us, right? So we think she's a hostage. She even acts like one, very timid when Bucky first sees her, and you're like, obviously she's not a hostage, right?
obviously. Yeah. So it's just kind of weird. It's like, oh, and now I put my mask on, and now I'm the bad guy. So, and then cue the action scene. Red Wing comes as Sam and Bucky are fighting on top of the trailer. Red Wing, as we saw in episode 1, was able to shoot down multiple helicopters with his abilities, cannot shoot a woman who is standing like 3 feet in front of him and completely misses, and Red Wing gets cut in half. And I think that's the thing that kind of bugs you. It's like, hey, you can do this when it's important, but when someone's like standing 3 feet in front of you, like, you can't, which just maybe they're like, hey, Flag Smashers are not bulletproof. They can die to bullets, as we'll learn in the future. But it's just really weird. So they fight. Flag Smashers start climbing onto the trailer. They help as they fight. John Walker and Lamar Hoskins show up in a helicopter. Bucky and Sam are not doing well. Sam saves Bucky, and they fly into a field. John ends up hanging off the back of a truck, just kind of like Steve in the Age of Ultron. John gets knocked off the trailer, and a magic car appears to catch him. This is one of those things that was really weird. So first, John like throws the shield to save Lamar as he's like falling off, and Lamar gives him the thumbs up, like, "Hey man, good job." If there was a car behind Lamar, he would have been run over by the car.
He would have been run over,
which
and
would have been
come on,
unfortunate.
people.
Or this driver is like, "Hey, someone just fell off the back of this truck. I'm going to get super close to it just in case. I'm going to try to pass it." I don't know. It's really weird that there's like this car there magically. It doesn't make sense at all. But hey, something's got to catch him, I guess. He couldn't have just fallen because he's not a super soldier. But I don't know. It's really weird. So that was kind of this. As far as action scenes go, this one was pretty bad. Like the choreography was
the first action scene in the first episode was very good. This one is just, it's hard to do that. You're on a semi truck, you're on a trailer, your space is limited to 8 feet by 50 feet, right? Like that's what you're on. Yes, it's moving. There's a little nuance with the road traveling underneath you, but really the set piece isn't the greatest, right? I think that's the biggest problem, is the set piece is too confining. But I mean, the physicality on board was fine. We see that the Flag Smashers are enhanced and they're throwy and kicky and punchy. We see that Sam doing his thing. So like, I guess we're getting like a sense of who is who, and that's kind of what's happening in this first episode, right? So
I think one thing that I'm kind of disappointed with the Flag Smashers right now is generally when you have a small group of people, you're able to distinguish the people by character traits, by things that they have, things that they do. Like even when we talk about Spider-Man Homecoming, like the group of people that were stealing all this stuff, they kind of had their thing. There were the guy with the arms. There was the Vulture. There was the Tinkerer. I think it was the Tinkerer, whatever. But they kind of had something that set them apart. Like the Flag Smashers could all be the same person right now, and it doesn't really matter at all. So they don't have any character yet. There's nothing saying like, oh, that's an interesting person, other than, I don't know, they got a mask and I guess they're strong. So that's pretty disappointing. So even the villain that we have now, we don't have a lot of insight into them, like their motivations and what really is driving them. And so it just seems like, okay, this is a fight that doesn't matter at all. Really, the only purpose was to bring John and Hoskins back in. So I'm just not digging on that yet. So Sam and Bucky, they're like taking the walk of shame. They're walking down the road, talking about what's going on.
Sorry about Red Wing.
No, you're not. What's going on in that big cyborg brain of yours?
It's computing.
You know what? I can actually see it. I can see the gears turning. Oh, they're malfunctioning. Shutting down. Yep, they're on fire.
We gotta figure out where the serum's coming from.
Yeah, and how in the hell, after 80 years, are there 8 super soldiers running loose?
And this is a good question, because why are there a bunch of more people running loose? Why are there not more if someone has the has the serum? Is it hard to make? Do you have to go get ingredients? Like, what's going on there? So all good questions. So as Sam and Bucky walk back, John and Lamar pull up and they offer to give the guys a ride.
All right, well then we gotta work together.
That's not happening.
I think we stand a much better chance if we all just...
Just because you carry that shield, it doesn't mean you're Captain America.
Look, I've done the work, okay?
You ever jump on top of a
False.
grenade?
Yeah, actually I have 4 times. It's a thing I do with my helmet. It's a reinforced helmet. It's a long story, but look, it's 20 miles to the airport. You guys need a ride.
So this line infuriated me, right? Because it was at this point when Steve Rogers, skinny little 80-pound anemic 4F Steve Rogers, jumped on a grenade and became Captain America. And now, words that I can't say on the internet guy is, yeah, I totally do that. I do that all the time. I use my helmet. It's a thing. I'm like, you know what, dude? Like forget you and the horse you rode in on, because I'm not having any of that, right? And I don't know if this was meant to be something comedic, but that's really messed up MCU writing, because that was a big part in Steve Rogers becoming Captain America. And for him to just to nonchalantly just blow it off like that, I don't think it had the effect, or maybe it did. Maybe it had the exact effect that they were going for, that I want this dude to like fall off of the Humvee and then get backed over and then run over and then like backed over 3 times.
Yeah.
So
Rusted in the chat says, I haven't seen this series. See, you don't have to watch the series. You can get it all through us, and it's even better than watching the show, Rusted. But this is a modern-day Marvel thing. Destroy all previous IP heroes in order to bring your own in. And what I think that they're doing, they're trying to show that, okay, maybe he has done the work. Maybe he can be a good Captain America. I think that's what the show is trying to do. They're trying to make you think, okay, maybe he will be okay, before pulling the rug out from under you. But as viewers, we know that it's not supposed to be him. It's supposed to be Sam. So I don't know anyone that's like on, hey, John Walker is great. He could totally do it. I don't think anyone likes John Walker. So yeah, I don't think he can lift Mjolnir anyway. So the heroes start trying to figure out what's up. Sam suggests that the Flag Smashers might just be trying to help people. He does put that suggestion out there. And we learned how John and Lamar found the Flag Smashers, also confirming some speculation I had from episode number 1.
We need to figure out where they're going. How'd you track them here, the Flag Smashers?
No, we didn't track them. We tracked you through Red Wing.
You hacked my tech?
Sorry, it's not exactly hacking. It's government property. Kind of the government.
All right, so here it is. I mean, this is the line where you're like, okay, yeah, nope, there was no chance. There could have been a sliver. We might have only run you over with the Humvee twice instead of 3 times like Mike suggested. But when you're like, no, I'm the government, that like is not at all what Captain America stood for. Captain America in every one of the movies was going directly against the government and their wishes and doing what he thought was right. And John's like, no, I'm the government, man. Like, we can hack your stuff. Which also, it's like, why is the suit government property? I guess they stole it. But hey, when they stole it, possession is 9/10 the law.
Well, but who made it? Who made Falcon?
It was a government experimental thing.
Well, yeah, probably that first version, but Tony had to have done something to it.
Yeah, they probably don't have that. I have to believe that
Tony was like, "Hey, man, look, I've seen you in action. You're doing great, but here's how you can be better." I bet for sure that's 100% Stark Tech.
Yeah, it has to be. You're right, because even at the end of Ultron, they're like, "All right, here's the new heroes," and Sam was there as one of the new Avengers, so definitely got new toys to play with. That was not embedded with stuff that the government can hack. Yeah, so shenanigans here. We're calling shenanigans on who owns Sam's suit. Same for Spider-Man. Yep. Spider-Man, it's all owned by Tony. Definitely not government tech. Sam needed his own little kill switch. Like enter kill mode. And then he could have done that. All right.
Activate instant kill.
Yep. So also confirmed that, hey, speculation that they were tracking Sam. So John mentions the GRC is doing what they can, and that's the Global Repatriation Council. It's an international council that reactivated status and managed resources for refugees displaced by the blip. It's a mouthful to say. Lamar tells us his nickname because everyone's got to have a nickname.
Who are you?
Lamar Hoskins. Look, I see a guy hanging out of a helicopter in tactical gear. I need a lot more than Lamar Hoskins.
I'm Battlestar, John Spartan.
Battlestar? Stop the car!
See, Sam said he needed more, and he did not give us more. He just gave us a nickname. That doesn't count. That still doesn't tell us anything. Like, why? I don't know. So Sam and Bucky peace out. John wants Sam as his wingman, and Sam gives him the proverbial bird, and they take off. So cut back to the Flag Smashers. They are trying to find a place where they can hang out. There are some Flag Smasher sympathizers. They give them refuge. And again, I don't know why we care about this. This is what I think is going to happen. I'm going to make a prediction that very much like in Captain Marvel, when we all thought the Skrull were going to be bad, and they turn out they just wanted a place to go and hang out, and Captain Marvel went and helped them. I think at the end of this, the Flag Smashers are going to be like, okay, we'll help you, and let's team up. That's my prediction. The Flag Smashers
Against who? You think there's going to be another big bad?
Yeah, as we find at the end of this episode. But I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to turn face, and it's going to be weird and lame because right now, like, the Flag Smashers are lame. Like, they're lame villains. I don't know what to say about it other than they're pretty lame.
They don't have a clear motive. Or maybe it's they don't have a motive that we sympathize with, right? Because really, what are they really doing? They're, from what we get from this episode, they're stealing and trying to be Robin Hood. They're trying to give to people who need it, which I can sympathize with that. People need stuff, like we talked about at the top of the show. There's people coming back into situations where they've been displaced. So where do they go? Maybe there are tons of homeless people. Maybe there are tons of people who cannot deal with the reality that they came back to. So maybe.
But anytime someone says a line like this,
we're not playing no more. We can't let the same arseholes who were put back in power after the blip win. The GRC care more about the people who came back than the ones who never left. We got a glimpse of how things could be. I need to know that you're all committed. Because after tomorrow, there's no going back.
we're not playing around and there's no going back. It's like, okay, they must be...
It makes me wonder what these guys were doing during the blip. Were they just, going into blipped out people's houses, taking all their stuff? Were they ransacking? Were they pillaging? I doubt they were being peaceful the whole time, right? Because it sounds like they were out kind of exploiting the situation, kind of like what the gang was doing in Endgame when Natasha goes to find Clint, right? They were just kind of exploiting everything and still being scum and villainy of the earth, and are sad now that they can't do that anymore.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what they were doing. And maybe we'll get that in later episodes. They'll say, hey, this is what we were doing. We were swimming in people's pools and not flushing toilets. So it'll be interesting to see what we get there. All right.
So the entire world blips out and you feel like you don't have to flush a toilet anymore?
Yeah, man.
That's like your big thing?
You can go to
New York City. You're like, oh, nope, half of you were gone. This stays now.
Imagine all the toilets that are unoccupied and not being used. You can just use them. You don't even have to flush them. That's just the thing that... Shut up, Mike, okay? Let's go back to the plane where Sam and Bucky are like, oh, man, this sucks. So Bucky wants to steal the shield back. He's like, let's just go beat him up. Let's steal the shield, kick him while he's down. And Sam's like, I was on the run for 2 years the first time we did this, so I don't really want to do that anymore. Bucky tells Sam he needs to go see someone, and... they go to Baltimore, where they go and find Isaiah Bradley.
Sam, this is Isaiah. He was a hero. One of the ones that Hydra feared the most, like Steve. We met in 51.
If by met you mean I whooped your ass, then yeah, We heard whispers he was on the peninsula. But everyone they sent after him never came back. So the U.S. military dropped me behind the line to go deal with him. I took half that metal arm in that fight in Goyang, but I see he's managed to grow it back.
I want to see like the miniseries of this interaction between Isaiah and Bucky in this fight. Like sometimes they'll do like, you know, animated shorts of stuff like this. I think this would be cool to see. So as we go into the 616 continuity, that is the comic continuity, Isaiah Bradley is known as the Black Captain America. He was one of 300 African-American soldiers who were used as test subjects at Camp Cathcart as part of the Project Rebirth's attempt to recreate the super soldier serum. Bradley was the only survivor, took on the mantle of Captain America, traveling to Europe to fight in the war. This was seen as treasonous by the military, who sentenced him, I can talk, I promise, to a life in prison as punishment. Although he was released after 17 years, his legacy remained a secret to the world at large, but became a legend and a hero to the black community. So this is a very unfortunate story. Like, they were testing the superhero serum on African Americans, and a lot of them died. They talked, no, that was something else. But a lot of people died, and Isaiah was the only survivor, and they kind of used him up as, all right, now you're going to go track down the Winter Soldier. We're going to use you. He decided he was going to go fight in the war, probably doing what he felt was right. And for some reason, I don't know why, I've not read the comics. I did not know about Isaiah Bradley, just because I'm not a huge Marvel comic person. We're mostly in this for the MCU. So it is interesting to learn about his backstory. But I don't know why they would call it treasonous. Like, just because he went to fight, I don't know if they didn't want him to. We'll have to find the comics, Mike. We'll have to do some research and figure out why all this went down. Here. Because that seems like a pretty harsh punishment. So the grandson that tells Sam and Bucky to beat it, this should be Eli Bradley, who in the comics becomes the hero, the Patriot, who gets superpowers from the genes of his grandpa. Not like wearing the genes, but that could be another superhero where you just put on someone's genes and you become a superhero. I bet that's probably I bet that's probably already a thing.
I hope not. It better not be a thing. Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, that might be it.
I don't even know what that is.
But this is one of those things you don't want to know about that things. So we're in the house and we hear the story, and then we hear the classic, I don't want to talk about it, right? Isaiah doesn't want to talk about the past.
You know what they did to me for being a hero? They put my ass in jail for 30 years. People running tests, taking my blood, coming into my cell. Even your people weren't done with me.
Isaiah,
get out of my house!
So Isaiah has been through a lot, and he just doesn't want to relive it, which is understandable because he's probably seen a lot of crap while he was in jail. And being alive through the times of, you know, where there was a lot of racism, a lot less now, which is good. And hopefully we can continue to lessen it. But man, tragic backstory for Isaiah Bradley. Like, do you think we come back to Isaiah throughout the show, or do you think this is something where
maybe not throughout? I think this would be a one-off, but this does introduce the grandson, right?
Yeah.
So even if it's not come back to in this series, that door is at least open.
Yeah, at least something to maybe like go back to and like, because I think it'd be an interesting story to tell and an interesting story to experience, right? So Sam confronts Bucky and is like, why didn't no one talk about Isaiah?
Sam, why didn't you tell me about Isaiah? How could nobody bring him up? I asked you a question, Bucky.
I know.
Steve didn't know about him?
He didn't. I didn't tell him.
So you're telling me that there was a black super soldier decades ago and nobody knew about it?
I think it's interesting because Hydra, because Isaiah went after Hydra. Bucky says that Hydra was scared of Isaiah just like they were of Steve. So there was probably a lot of people that came after Isaiah trying to find him. And he even said, like, in jail that Hydra came after him to continue the experiments, to figure out what was going on with him. So he's been through a lot of crap. Sam's pretty mad that no one knew about it. But I bet Bucky was just like, no, man, like no one should know about it because he's been through enough. He needs to live out the rest of his days as peacefully as he can. But yeah, tragic story for Isaiah Bradley. So the cops show up and they racially profile Sam. They're like, hey, is this guy bugging you? And they're like, what are you talking about? Get out of here. And they're like, can I see your ID? And Sam's like, no, you can't see my ID. And so every police officer on the planet should know who the Avengers are, especially like police officers, I would think. Like Sam's got to be more famous than Tom Cruise at this point because he is an Avenger. I would assume that everyone would know the Avengers. But these cops are like, hey, this just must be bad. Let's protect the white guy, right? That's what's going on in this scene. Sam is being racially profiled. Bucky explains that he didn't say anything to Sam because, let's see, there's a button.
Sam,
why didn't you tell?
Nope, that's one.
I didn't tell anybody because he'd already been through enough.
All right, so Bucky is very calmly and politely arrested, and they put cuffs on him. Why do they put cuffs on the Winter Soldier? Someone who can just break through them? I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, and then they go down to the police station, and the therapist, Dr. Rayner, comes to see Bucky. John comes out and says, hey, I'm taking Bucky as an asset. I need him. Get done with your little crap that I don't really care about so that we can go. And the doctor forces Bucky and Sam into a group therapy session as a condition of his release. This is like the weirdest setup of a scene to get, like, I don't know if they just didn't know how to have this scene or have it come apart, but it just seems really weird.
Yeah, it's oddly placed. We were talking earlier that this scene could have and should have probably been done inside of her office. We can have the scene because really the scene is funny. It's light. It is Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan going back and forth. And it's a funny scene, right? What they talk about, they go through some therapy stuff. They gaze into each other's eyes. Like, it's funny. But to have it done under that context where, number one, Bucky is being arrested because he missed an appointment. I've missed, like, all kinds of appointments and have never been arrested. Granted, I'm not a super soldier who it was as part of my congressional pardon to be able to do, but this doesn't usually happen. Plus there's a few other pieces going on here, right? So John Walker, he is the one who's getting Bucky released because, hey, I'm doing this thing for you, so now we can go fight said bad guy, so hurry up and do your thing because I'm antsy and I'm Captain America and you need to do what I say, right? So more and more as this episode goes on, we're really not supposed to like him. And maybe he'll have a redemption at the end and maybe we'll like him. Or maybe we're just not supposed to like him because he's really easy not to like. So they do their therapy session. It's funny, haha. And then Bucky asks Bucky asks Sam in the therapy session, like when they're having their deep stare, like he finally asks him the question that we all wanted to ask him.
Why'd you give up that shield?
Why are you making such a big deal out of something that has nothing to do with you?
Steve believed in you. He trusted you. He gave you that shield for a reason. That shield, that is everything he stood for. That is his legacy. He gave you that shield and you threw it away like it was nothing. So maybe he was wrong about you. And if he was wrong about you, then he was wrong about me.
And this is like, we're going full Tangatopa Gurren Lagann. Like, you have to believe in the Steve that believes in you. And that's kind of what Bucky has been going off of. That Steve believes that he can be redeemed. And Bucky believes in Steve. So therefore, Bucky believes he can be redeemed. But if he was wrong about Sam, then he was wrong about him.
Maybe this is something you or Steve will never understand. But can you accept that I did what I thought was right?
And I think this is an interesting theme to like introduce into the show. That sometimes you don't have to agree with what someone's doing, but if that someone really thinks that what they are doing is right, you kind of have to respect that. Because if Sam believes deep down that what he was doing was right, giving up the shield, then it doesn't matter what Bucky or Sam think. He thinks he was doing the right thing.
That's an interesting kind of notion, because we are kind of we see that, in our lives daily, where someone who really thinks what they're doing is the right thing, but what if it's really not?
I guess we could look at Isaiah Bradley, and if he left to fight the war, which was what he thought was the right thing to do, and he got punished for it. I mean, but you're right. Then anyone could just hide behind like, oh, I'm doing the right thing. Exactly. I thought I was doing the right thing. So I guess that maybe that doesn't hold up as much, but we also know Sam, like Sam is a good person. Sam was trusted by Captain America to be the next Captain America. So we should trust like Sam's gut on what he thought was the right thing.
Yeah, but also like if Captain America asks you to do something, there's you probably ought to do it to the best of your ability, right?
I mean, he could still do what Cap wanted him to do and not just take the name Captain America or wear the suit. He could still like go fight for freedom and like protect the weak.
He definitely could, Steve, but part of Captain America's ability to do what was right is because he had that symbol. And that was a big part of it, right? That shield was iconic to him, and not so much as an accessory, like it kind of had character development just like he did.
Like in what way, I guess? Because to me, it's like the shield's, it's just a shield, right? It's vibranium shield. I think the character was, it was from Tony's dad, then given to Sam, then taken back by Tony, then given from Tony back to Steve, kind of as like an olive branch. So you mean like that kind of characterization?
So it definitely, you hit it right on the head, right? It has more personality than just being a vibranium disc, right? It was the catalyst in and I think a lot of the conflict that Tony Stark and Steve Rogers had, right? It represented Stark giving Steve Rogers the best of what was available versus giving it to Tony. I think it represents I think it has a lot of ties to Peggy for Steve. I think when he carries the shield, he carries her. So I think there's a lot of personality behind it. And it means a whole lot more than just this is what I use, like Thor. And even Mjolnir has more of a personality.
But I guess then you saying that, it makes sense that Sam would not want to take that because it did mean so much to Steve on more levels than this is just a shield. Because it's not just a symbol of America. Like if it belonged to Steve for those reasons, then Sam was right to like leave it in a museum because of what it stood for Steve.
I think it's a symbol of Steve before it's a symbol of America. I definitely think that we're definitely not done visiting this theme and this idea. Sam is definitely going to end up taking up the shield by the end of the series, for sure. Like that's what's being foreshadowed, and so I think we're going to see all this come to light when it happens. But yeah, I definitely think it means more than just than Sam saying I thought I was doing what was right. I think he's going to come to realize that yeah, I kind of messed up a little bit on this one, but I can make amends though.
Yeah. And if you were curious on whether you wanted to like John Walker or not, he lets you know.
Take it easy. Look, Walker's right. It is imperative that we find them and stop them. But you guys have rules of engagement and all kind of authorizations you have to get. We're free agents. We're more flexible. So it wouldn't make sense for us to work with you.
A word of advice, then. Stay the hell out of my way.
there you go. There's the okay. Yep, he really is just kind of what we expected, and that's the way they're going to go with it. I think it would have been better for the show if he was like, I just want to help. But now we know it's like, okay, he's just going to be a thorn in everyone's side. So John Walker and Battlestar, who you still don't know what Battlestar does, they're just going to be lamos. All right, so the Flag Smash. We're going to cut over to the Flag Smashers. They're loading a small plane with cargo. They found a plane. And they say that the Power Broker's men have found them, the Power Broker. So one man goes to hold them off. The guy pushes down a power pole. And then that guy, instead of running back to the plane, runs directly into the bullets that are coming at him, sacrificing himself.
The best part is that we have this like tender moment between this guy and what's her name, Carly?
Her name is Carly Montegarahan.
Yeah.
Morgenthau, there it is.
Carly Morgenthau. And so this guy, right, this no-name flag smasher, he's like, they can't get all of us. And we see this deep look into their eyes and this realization of what's going to be done. And he runs over and he pushes over a telephone pole and then doesn't immediately run away. Like just go push over the telephone poles. Like cars can't drive over those with ease.
And that's the thing. Like if you're in a bunch of cars, because there's a lot of cars there, it's like the cars don't all have to stop for you. They can just drive around and go stop the plane. So for them to all get out and then start shooting at him was just, it's like, okay, I guess. Like, again, we had no idea, like, if this was henchman number 1, number 2, number 3. Did it matter? Did they even like each other? It was just very like, all right, pick up your...
I'm going to go ahead and go with it didn't matter.
Yeah. And this brings the total body count of episode 2 to 1. This was the first person.
Which seems odd.
Compared to the 28 that we got from episode 1. All right, so let's go talk about the Power Broker. So there's several Power Brokers in the MCU comics. One of them is named Jackson. And Jackson founds the Power Broker Corporation. He hires Dr. Carl Malice, a mad scientist who has experimented on various superhuman individuals to technologically augment the strength of paying customers to superhuman levels. The strength augmenting process is tremendously risky, with half the subjects dying or becoming severely deformed, but this information is kept as closely guarded secret, and the Power Broker and Malice use highly addictive drugs on their subjects, telling them that the chemical is necessary to stabilize their powers, but in fact it only serves to keep the subjects working for and paying the Power Broker. So we do know that a similar drug was used on 300 different African Americans to create Isaiah as the Black Captain America. So it's very possible that something similar happened here. People are experimenting with this drug, and they're paying. People are paying to become superpowered. I would totally pay for it. Yeah, I would just go pay, make me super strong. Like, make me ripped, I would totally do this. So that is going to come into play. We now only have 4 episodes remaining. So the Power Broker is going to come into play somehow with the Flag Smashers. We'll see how that all plays out. Cut back over to Sam and Bucky. And Sam and Bucky are trying to decide what to do. And Bucky's like, all right, we got to go see this guy.
Okay, then. We're going to go see Zemo.
And we're going to go to prison. We're going to go see Zemo and figure out what the crap is going on here. And that's episode 2 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Overall, pretty interesting episode. It was a lot slower than episode 1. I think they are trying to bring a lot together. And with only 4 episodes left, we will see Zemo. Maybe we will see Sharon sometime in the future. I imagine she's got to be in at least 1 episode.
I've seen her on the trailers, and IMDb says she's going to be in 5 episodes. 4.
So 4, because there's only 4 left. Rusted, thanks for hanging out. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. So yeah, predictions, Mike, for the last 4 episodes. Like, what is going to be resolved? What do you think?
So I think there's going to be more clunky dialogue. There's going to be more forced tension between Captain America and Sam and Bucky. There's going to be finally an understanding come to between the 2 main characters. Sharon will be there, who's going to give her reasons why Sam should have the shield. and how much Steve meant to her. We're gonna finally see who the actual bad person is in this series, because I don't know. I think we've seen the bad person in this series on screen, but we haven't had any dialogue, because that first person in episode 1, I don't think was Kari.
No,
Maybe
that was just
Carrie.
one of
Maybe
that was,
it was.
No, it was one of the other henchmen. He's in that group of 8 people.
Okay.
Like we saw Carrie. She was one of the people holding the bags. So like the Flag Smashers, we've seen all the Flag Smashers. Zemo is going to be introduced. We're going to go talk to Zemo, see what he's up to. Do you think Sam somehow gets powers at the end of this show?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think he gets?
I think
souped up so he can go toe to toe with these guys.
Does he become a superhero? No, because Steve gave him the shield without that. Right? So I don't think Sam becomes enhanced in that way. That's just my prediction.
We'll have to see how it all plays out. And again, if you have comments, questions, other things that you noticed that we did not cover that you would like us to cover in future episodes or in previous episodes, just let us know. Shoot us a line, freelancercodex@gmail.com. So until next time, Mike, we'll just end it here. And hey, only like 2 days away, and then we get to watch episode 3, and then we're 50% done with this thing. And then there you go. And we'll see if it was all worth it in the end. So until next time, everyone, just remember.
How do you know about Gandalf?
I read The Hobbit in 1937 when it first came out.
So you see my point?
No.
There you go.
Thank you for listening to the Freelancer Codex, a podcast brought to you by the Shut Up and Respawn Network. Follow us at Freelancer Codex on Twitter or Twitch. Send emails to freelancercodex@gmail.com or voice messages to anchor.fm/freelancercodex/message. We wish to thank all of our Patreons. We are grateful for you all.
We will see you later, Twitch chat, the Twitchy chat.
Peace.